This is really cool. Someone I've been waiting to meet and is now live on the set. Former Coronado mayor and hopefully new friend of the show, Richard Bailey is here. You like the fake thing? All right, you got the applause. Welcome to the show. Welcome
I like
to
the
Hey
applause.
Morton.
That's nice.
You want it? We have it on demand. We're like, oh, that's great. All right, that's enough. We don't pretend it's real. Everybody knows. Yeah, we don't have a live studio audience. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Just yesterday was the anniversary of you climbing Mount Everest.
That's right.
And so
That's amazing.
when you see the picture on his Instagram, go to Richard Bailey _ and you see the picture of him standing at the summit of Everest. It looks like one of those AI photos. You're like, that's not real. But it's absolutely real. And I thought, boy, it'd be so interesting to have you come in and talk about your journey, how you decided to do it, how long it took, how hard it was, and what did you see on the way up?
All right, so this is a cautionary tale to every parent that's listening. Careful what you expose your children to, because my mom took me to go see an Everest documentary at the IMAX Theater at Balboa Park when I was 12 years old.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
That is what planted the seed, where I'm like, all right, one day I have to find out if I have what it takes to get to the summit of Mount Everest. So that was the start.
How old were you?
I was 12 years old.
See,
12 years old.
I was given an Ansel Adams book at the same age by my grandmother, and it had the pictures of Half Dome. And she showed me Half Dome, and she goes, people climb up on top of that. I said, they do? She goes, you could do that one day, dear. And when I turned 41, I did do it.
Good for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but it gets in your head,
That's
right?
right.
Yes.
That's right.
So
it almost
there
felt
was.
like a calling. And I, for my entire adult life, I would obsess over Mount Everest, right? I would watch every documentary. I would read every book, every article, every Everest climbing season. I would follow all the blogs. And one night I was laying in bed and just thinking to myself, gosh, you've always thought about doing this, but you haven't actually taken a single step to making it a reality. Now, I had done marathons and triathlons and these other, pretty cool endurance activities, but I had never gotten into mountaineering. And so in 2021, I said, you know what, if I'm actually serious about this, I need to take the first step. And that first step was hiking to Mount Everest Base Camp. So very cool hike.
I thought you were going to say Cow's Mountain. You're like, there, I'm ready.
I thought he was
I'm
going to
good,
say
I'm good.
just mountains around,
He's on Cal's like, we're ready. Let's go.
So start with walking the dog.
I didn't know you could just right away start hiking to the summit, to the base camp?
To base camp, that's right. It's actually a very, very popular hike. So a lot of people don't know this, but Mount Everest is located in a Nepalese national park. So kind of similar to our Yosemite.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So you could actually go to this national park, and there are these really well-kept trails that you can hike in just your trail running shoes or your hiking boots. It takes about 8 days, over 40 miles, and you make your way all the way to Everest Base Camp, located at 17,500 feet.
That's still quite a
It's
hike.
very
Yeah.
high. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Whitney's what, 18 or
Whitney is
lower?
14.
14.
14.5,
So
yeah.
bigger than Whitney. So I don't know about your jogging shoes. Yeah, but that's okay. So over 8 days, so you pack and sleep every day, and
You pack and sleep, but what makes this cool is that they actually have these little, almost ancient Himalayan villages along the trail. And so you're spending the night in these tea houses, which sound kind of romantic and like very picturesque. They are picturesque, but man, there's no insulation in those things, man. It's rough. It's rough. It's a little cold. But it was getting to base camp and then seeing the summit with my own two eyes, where I'm like, okay, this is possible. Now I need to get some real mountaineering experience. And then I went back to Everest about 2 to 3 years later to attempt the summit.
And in the meantime, did you just start in the Sierras, and because it's convenient, it's here?
Absolutely. It was kind of one step at a time. My first mountaineering course was in the Sierras. After I did a mountaineering course there, I climbed a couple of the peaks in the mountain range there. Then I went down to Ecuador. They have some great mountains that are about 16 to 19,000 feet high. Then I went down to Aconcagua, which is the tallest peak in South America. That's 23,000 feet high. And after all of that is when I said, okay, now I'm ready to go back to Everest and try for the summit.
Wow. Okay, so Everett is 29,000 feet. You had done 24,000 at that point.
23.
23. Okay, and so now you're like, look, I just got 5,000 more feet to go.
How
I
hard could it
do
be?
This. Yeah, right. Well, I imagine at some point you're like, look, at some point it's not one foot in front of the other as much as it's managing your oxygen, managing your fatigue, your alertness.
You know, it is very physical. There's no question about that. It's a very physical challenge, but it is even more so mental, right? Because the whole duration of summiting Everest, it took me about 33 days to get to the top and 3 to 5 days to get down.
Wow.
So for those 33 days, you're basically living on the side of a frozen rock, and you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, you're away from your friends and family. And so all these little things just start entering your mind. And so it's really a big mental game of, I'm living in the worst conditions I've ever lived in.
Like
I'm
isolation, right?
Pretty much total isolation. It's just you and your team, right? You and your team. And you got the hardest physical task ahead of you. And I think that's what gets a lot of people. As soon as they start talking about, man, I miss my family back home. Gosh, I really want to get to this project at work. You start to see them kind of tune out mentally, and then before you know it, it's that first big challenge they hit where, you know, they're going up the Lhotse face, which is the 60-degree slope of ice, and they're like, you know what? I'm out. And so it's more of a mental game than a physical game even.
Really?
Wow.
So how long do you acclimate at base camp before you're like, all right, let's do this?
Yeah, good question. So the process of summiting the mountain looks like this. You hike into base camp over the span of 8 days. Once you get to base camp, you spend about 3 to 5 days just kind of getting your bearings, because the oxygen level at base camp is half of what it is here at sea level. And you feel it. I mean, you definitely feel it. And so you'll do some hikes of neighboring mountains to help acclimatize you. And then you do what's called a rotation, where you actually go from base camp all the way up to Camp 1, Camp 2, and Camp 3 over the course of about 4 to 5 days. And then you come all the way back down to base camp.
Wow.
And the reason you do this is because you're trying to get your body familiar with the lack of oxygen. Because one of the biggest risks you encounter is that when you're on your summit push and you're on the summit ridge, if you haven't done this rotation and acclimatized your body without oxygen, if your oxygen system freezes when you're near the summit, you will experience hypoxia very quickly. You'll become pretty much delusional, and you will pass out within a matter of minutes, and then within about 10 to 15 minutes, you'll be dead.
Wow.
But
That's how I want to go.
yeah,
I actually really do. I think that sounds on some level peaceful.
it is kind of euphoric. I'll tell you, it is kind of euphoric. But if you have acclimatized, if you've done that rotation, and your oxygen system fails you, near the summit, you at least have a fighting chance of maintaining enough of your wits to get back down to relative safety.
And so you can't do it without oxygen, right? Or it could be done, but it's difficult.
It's very difficult. It's fewer than about 1% of all summiters of Everest do it without oxygen. It's very challenging, and it's very, very risky too.
And did you try that, or you said, no, give me the oxy?
You know what? I initially said, give me the oxygen, and then I got all the way up to Camp 3 without oxygen, which is pretty typical. Yeah. And I thought, man, I feel pretty good. And then I tried sleeping without oxygen at Camp 3. I felt absolutely miserable. Man, it has such a physiological effect to spend any amount of time at that altitude without oxygen. So yeah, I got back on the oxygen real quick.
Are you, I don't know about you both, Edina, D-Rock, but I'm like breathing deeper right now. Like,
Totally. Yeah.
get my oxygen.
Yeah. I like grab my chest while you're talking about it.
Yeah, like, oh my goodness. So how much did it cost you by the time you got back home and you looked at the final bill? That's got to be really pricey.
It's very pricey.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the most common questions I get asked. And depending on what type of expedition you go with, it's going to cost you if you go with a very reputable group, you're looking at $75,000 to $100,000.
Okay.
If you're pretty much self-supported, so there's a couple different tiers, really, these expeditions. One of the tiers is self-supported, where you pretty much pay for your permit, which between your permit and camping out at someone else's tent setup, you're looking at about $20,000 to $25,000, but everything else is on you. Like, you're guiding yourself up the mountain. You have no one there to help you.
Oh, no thanks.
Yeah. And then when you get in that $50,000 tier range, you'll have some support, but if anything goes wrong in the mountain, you're still kind of on your own. It's not until you get into that $75,000 to $100,000 price range where you're with expeditions that actually bring additional resources and station them at the various campsites. So if something goes wrong, they can deploy help right away. So it's like an insurance policy almost.
I mean, you would need that. It's not worth your life to skip that part.
The last thing you want is to be on the summit of Everest coming down, your oxygen runs out, and be like, man, I really shouldn't have saved that $25,000.
That's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I'm looking at this picture. We're talking to Richard Bailey, former mayor of city of Coronado, and he, a year ago, went to the top of Everest. Do you dream about it? Have you, since you've gone, have you dreamed about it? Has it, in your daydreams, how has it affected you?
I miss it almost every day.
Oh.
I miss that thrill. It's one of the few times in my life where I've really felt like, man, I'm alive right now. Because when you're on the mountain for over a month, your brain kind of switches, right? Like, because all this is all nice and pleasant, and we got the creature comforts of home, and nothing's really that challenging, right? Like nothing's really, going to kill us. But when you're in the elements and you're really just focused on, I need to get food inside me. I need to get liquid inside me. I need to be hydrated. I need to make sure I have enough, the right clothing on to prevent the cold from setting in. I need to make sure that my crampons are sticking to my boots so I can actually navigate this wall of ice. Like you just focus on the most basic things to keep you alive. And man, that was equally terrifying, but also just absolutely exhilarating.
Yeah, because you get to know yourself in a primal way, and you go, okay, so here's who I really am.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And here's who I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'd be up there like, where's the zip line? We haven't built that yet.
Now, speaking of the elements, every hiker that's been interviewed on like YouTube, I watch a ton of those videos. I kind of prepared for all of this, but everyone can recall an individual that did not make it back. Were there people that you saw that were still up there, like that have deceased from the hiking up there?
Yeah, so there are approximately 200 dead bodies along the route to the summit. 200. Now, when you hear 200, you probably think to yourself, oh, they just must be strewn all about, and it's impossible to miss them. And I think I saw at least two bodies that had passed from previous expeditions. And oftentimes what happens is they oftentimes pass Camp 4 and above. Now, Camp 4 is at 28,000 feet. And then after you go past Camp 4, you eventually get on this thing called the Summit Ridge. The Summit Ridge is this very narrow ridge where you have basically a 3,000-foot drop-off to one side, a 5,000-foot drop-off to the other.
My goodness.
And that's where a lot of people kind of just succumb to the elements, succumb to their own exhaustion, and kind of just throw in the towel. And because of that, because of the perilous location of where a lot of these bodies are at, they're left there. And they're kind of like pushed off to the side, they try to be as respectful as possible, but it's just so physically challenging to get them off the mound that they're oftentimes left there. And so depending on the snow conditions, sometimes the snow conditions can conceal all the bodies that are up there. My particular summit day, I saw 2 different bodies.
Wow.
How did that affect you?
It's nearly impossible to really like appreciate the humanity of those individuals when you're in that moment, because you yourself are so mentally fatigued, like you are at your absolute limits. And I remember seeing them and not honestly thinking much of it. Just like, okay, I just got to go around, or, oh, okay, that's a body. It wasn't until you get back, and I had a couple close calls myself coming down, where...
Wait, tell us about that.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
So
we're talking to Richard Bailey. He just summited Everest a year ago, and we wanted to catch up with him. And so tell us, you're coming down off Everest.
So actually my problem started after I'd finished my rotation, right? So I get all the way to Camp 3, come down to base camp, and we're waiting for our summit push. So we're waiting for the weather to clear at the summit, because we need about 5 days to get all the way back to the top. And unfortunately, I came down with a stomach bug. And then I came down with a bit of a respiratory illness that didn't really start hitting me until I got to Camp 3. So when I'm making my way from Camp 3 to Camp 4, which it's a 12-hour climb from Camp 3 to Camp 4, you get into Camp 4, that's at 28,000 feet, and then you rest for about 6 hours before leaving for the summit. And I couldn't keep any liquid down. I just could not keep any liquid down, unfortunately, not to gross out in the viewers, but without vomiting back up. So I was severely dehydrated. And at altitude, your body loses its appetite. I mean, you could have put a steak dinner in front of me. I would not have been able to eat it.
Oh, man.
No appetite whatsoever. And so as we're making our way to the summit, we have this storm rolling in. We're about 2 hours away from the summit. The storm starts to roll in, and I am moving slow. And I'm not just talking about slow relative to other climbers, because everyone's moving slow up there. You're literally going about 0.1 miles per hour. It takes about 10 hours to cover an entire mile. I'm moving slow, like, compared to all the climbers, like, and I'm starting to run out of oxygen, and I just can't physically go faster. I start to hallucinate. At one point, when I'm going along the summit ridge after leaving the summit and heading back down, I'm looking at this rock that's along the summit ridge, and I see hieroglyphics form on the rock, and then it flies away.
Oh.
I was telling my friend about this story, who's not a climber, and he's like, oh, well, that was, that's probably a bird. And I'm like, there's not birds at 29,000 feet.
Right, you're right, yeah.
And I don't think that rock really flew away. Like, I think I was imagining things.
Yeah.
So we're making our way back down, and I'm just moving more and more slowly. Eventually, I tell my Sherpa, I said, hey, man, like, you should just go on without me. I will get myself down, but you're running out of oxygen too. I don't want to be responsible for your death. And to the Sherpa's credit, they're adamant, like, no, we are not leaving you. We will pretty much physically drag you down if we have to. And so if it hadn't been for that Sherpa being there and kind of encouraging me to keep going, I think I probably would have just closed my eyes for a little nap and probably never woken up.
That's insane.
As we're continuing to make our way down, we get all the way down to Camp 4. The sun is setting. We've been on our feet for 18 hours now. We rest a little bit at Camp 4, but we don't have enough oxygen to stay the night. And it's just really tough on your body to sleep at 28,000 feet.
Yeah.
So then we continue making our way back down to Camp 3 in the darkness. When you're making your way back down to Camp 3, you're going down this like 60-degree slope of ice, really rock salt ice, like this really beautiful blue ice. Every step you take, you have to kick in your crampons to have enough grip. Well, you have this safety line. These safety lines are about 200 feet long, and they're anchored into the ice, and you're clipped into them. At one point, I lose my footing, and I just start sliding down.
Oh, my God.
And I lost it near the beginning of one of these safety ropes. And so here I'm sliding down probably about 150 to 160 feet, just down the 60-degree slope of ice. And it's enough time for you to think to yourself, if this ice bolt doesn't hold, I'm dead. Like I'm completely dead.
Over.
Good
Yeah.
night. That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, and there's nothing anyone can do. And so like I'm just hauling butt down this, and I'm just thinking to myself, please God, please hold this thing in.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it gets right to the end, and the ice anchor holds, whips me back around, and man, that woke me up real quick.
I'll bet. Yeah, well, when that happens, you do get your wits back. You're like, in a way, that adrenaline probably helped you.
Oh, absolutely.
No question about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question about it.
And so at no point were you like, wee.
Yeah.
I'm in the moment.
We're having fun now.
I was kind of grateful. I'm like, well, that was 200 feet. I didn't have to climb down. Like, at least I slid down.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, bright side, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get back down to base camp, and what's your first immediate thought after looking back up at that summit? I can't believe I was just there. Or I was there the other day, or.
Yeah, so I get back to base camp, and I'm in a world of hurt. These infections have really set in. And so I get airlifted out of base camp to a hospital in Kathmandu, where I spent the next 2 nights. I had dropped 26 pounds in the 6 days of our summit, the 7 days for our summit push.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so you come back and you're in Coronado, and now you're getting ready to go up to Alaska. What's going on?
That's right. Yeah. So
Dude.
my childhood dream, as I mentioned, was to summit Mount Everest. And one of the big things that happens to a lot of people after they summit Mount Everest is they have to ask the question, well, what's next, right? Like, I just did that. I need something else.
Yeah.
And so now my goal is to climb the tallest mountain on every continent. It's called the Seven Peaks. And I've successfully climbed the tallest mountain in South America, in Africa, and now over in Asia with Everest. And so tomorrow I leave to go climb Mount McKinley, formerly known as Mount Denali, which is a 20,000-foot peak located in Alaska.
Oh, well,
That's
that'll be easy
amazing.
for you.
Yeah, no problem.
Walk in the park, man.
Yeah.
What are there any similar preparations? You don't really go to camp this and camp that the way you would Everest, or no?
No, you actually do. Yeah. So Denali actually has a higher mortality rate than Everest.
Whoa.
People underestimate it.
People underestimate it. It's also relatively more remote than Everest.
Oh.
And it's wicked tough. So there's several camps along the way. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks depending on the weather conditions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Richard Bailey, if people want to follow him, go to Richard Bailey _ on Instagram. Is there anywhere else you'd like people to find you? Or
That's the best spot to find me.
Yep. Well, we loved having you come by, and we're excited for Denali. We
Yes.
pray.
Yeah, man.
When will you
Appreciate
be
it.
back from that?
Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the
Okay.
weather.
All right, check in with us. We want to see how it went.
We'll do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.